Hi everybody, welcome to another video by me, John of JWH Millinery. Now you're probably wondering, why am I dressed in a tux and a suit and a dicky ball, all that razzmatazz. Now, I did mention in a couple of videos ago that I would be potentially starting a new series, and this is the first video in that series, and we've decided to call it Drag Me to the Hat Shop. Now, you're probably thinking, what on earth is this new series about? Now, in the video when I did mention doing this, I did say that I had an obsession with drag queens and RuPaul's Drag Race, and what I decided to do was use this second series to do more experimental pieces that will push my skills, your skills, all our skills together, and try things that wasn't naturally used in traditional millinery. For example, in this video we're using fake nails, and we're actually using acrylic, real acrylic that we used on fake nails, to fashion an acrylic nail flower that will go on the piece. Now this piece is actually inspired by this look here, and this drag queen is called Alaska. She is the current All Stars winner. She is amazing, very talented, she's not your usual get up and sit on the stage and sort of mime to some song. She has actually sung, she's got several albums out. She is my life at the moment, like, she can do no wrong. And this look that she is wearing at the moment is her candy ball look from her season, and in the challenge she was challenged to make an outfit out of sugary things, so candy floss, licorice, all these sort of things, and she naturally gravitated to candy floss. This look is just, you wouldn't be able to tell. If you didn't know what it was, you wouldn't be able to tell. Now what we did is we took a lot of inspirations from this and also her other stuff outside of Drag Race. Now she's a singer. She's had a song called Nails, because if you're not wearing nails you're not doing drag, according to Alaska. And we thought we'd combine the two into one and try something different. So this is what we ended up making. Now it's a cream piece on just a simple cinema base, finished off with some acrylic nails which were actually made by myself. The nail itself was there, we put the acrylic on top, and used lots of different shades of pink, and we thought we'd offset it just with a little bit of silver because it felt like there was a little bit too much pink going on. It just breaks that up and just gives it that little bit of extra sparkle. And then we finished it off in the centre with some Swarovski crystals. These are flat back ones, and all the list of everything that I've used will be in the description box below. Like I said, it does use a lot of materials that you wouldn't necessarily use, so I'm not expecting anybody to do this, but if you were interested, then there is a little bit in the middle of how I made the nails, and I have also linked in the description box below links to some of my favourite YouTubers who do nails and do nails well, because mine are a little bit bumpy, they are a little bit lumpy, and I didn't put a clear coat on top. I actually just used varnish, so probably that did that wrong. But yeah, like, it came out exactly what I was looking for. I think this would work well with that outfit. Obviously we have used some darker pinks in this because the look was very pale, and I personally just thought it just needed a little bit of dark in there. So yeah, if you want to see how we made this, and especially how we made the fake nails, then keep on watching.
So for this tutorial you're going to need the following: 2 meters of baby pink crin, 2 meters of fuchsia pink crin, 1 fuchsia cinema base, some offcut of cinema, ideally in a pink, a comb for the base, and some hat elastic. To make the nails, you're going to need 10 individual fake nails, ideally in a long and pointed shape, some medium speed acrylic liquid, some acrylic powders in the following colours: pink flamingo, pink fairy wings, pink champagne, soft pastel pink, and mega white. And then to finish it off, we're going to use some disco diva. You're also going to need some clear nail varnish, some small caviar beads in the shade chocolate, a dappen dish, and a size 8 and 10 nail acrylic brush. All these items for the nail will be available at Neo Nails, where I actually bought these from, and I will have this linked in the description box below. So this section I have sped up, otherwise I'd be talking for like 20 whole minutes, but this is how you would put an acrylic nail together. Now, I'm not saying I am expert at doing this, and I will link some videos in the description box below for you to learn how to do this properly. This I've been practicing, and this is my way of doing it, using what I have learned from YouTube. So to start, you need to put some acrylic liquid in a dappen dish and wet your acrylic brush. Making sure you get all your air bubbles out, because you don't want them putting it into the acrylic later on. Dip your brush in and out, turning it around at the bottom of the dish just to get them air bubbles out. Get that brush nice and saturated, and that is how you're going to make the acrylic. So once your brush is saturated with the acrylic liquid, dip that then into the powder and pick up some powder to form a bead, and place this straight away pretty much onto the nail and wipe any excess acrylic off your brush. What you want to do is stop any curing of the acrylic in your brush while you're not using it. Yes, you can get that out later, but it's easier to do it there and then. And as you can see, when I'm using a towel at on the table to make sure that I can wipe the brush. Now, it does smell. I'm not going to lie, this really does smell. So make sure you use this in a well ventilated room, a room which has got some air circulating through it, and it will just, that smell will go away. But if you do it in a room where there's no ventilation, it's going to smell, it's going to hang around. So once that bead is on the nail, using the belly of the brush, push the acrylic into place. But only do this though when the acrylic seems like it's no longer runny. What I tend to do is put it at the top and then let the acrylic run down the nail so it covers that nail, and then I can push it back up into place where I need it once it's started losing that runniness. Make sure you keep cleaning your brush as you're going along and pushing that acrylic into place. Just as the acrylic is setting, and you'll know this because it's not like it loses its shine fully, but it starts to lose its shine. Take a clasp knife and cut away some of the acrylic to form a point facing towards the tip of the nail. Try and get as much acrylic off the nail as possible so you don't see this underneath any of the other colours. And then just keep repeating this for each of the colours, building it up layer by layer, making some thin, making some thick. Now you don't have to follow the exact design that I've done. You know, you can make up your own design using this. You don't even have to use like the chevron style. There are many different ways of applying the acrylic into patterns, into shapes. Find out what works for you, what looks good for you, and take that and make sure you do that on every single nail. Now I found that the glitter colours, so that's the pink fairy wings, disco diva and pink champagne, they all seem to set a little bit faster than the non-glitters. In terms of, it didn't seem as runny. Maybe I was doing something wrong, maybe there was a different way of working with the glitters that I'd not been made aware of, but that was my experience with it. So I felt that I needed to work a little bit faster with the glitters than I would the regular, normal, non-glitter colours. What I will also do is link to my two favourite acrylic nail artists in the description box below. They both have YouTube channels and they have very, very, very well put together tutorials on how to do acrylic nails. And not just how to do fancy acrylic nails, how to do basic acrylic nails. I learned from these. Like I say, I'm not in any way, shape or form an expert doing this. This is probably my third set of nails that I've done, but I don't think they look too bad. I will also link down below the video in which I took inspiration for this design on the nail. There is a tutorial on chevron nails. I thought they were amazing, and I've kind of taken a little bit of that and then done my own thing on top of that as well. Just make sure you use the clear acrylic liquid when using the white, as I did have some blue acrylic liquid and it just seemed to slightly discolour the whites. It turned it not as white as it should have been, which you may notice later on. There is like a random white nail, and what I did is I just replaced that with one I'd made previously. Once the nails are fully cured, take a regular nail file and clean up your edges and smooth the top. I tried to get them as smooth as possible and they did still end up rather bumpy. This may be something I do later on in a collection, so if I do, I will obviously learn how to do this properly and how to do these amazingly well before I put them on a collection. But like I said earlier, they don't look too bad to say this is probably the third set of nails I've ever done. Now, if you were doing this 100% like wearable nails, you would cap the nail with clear acrylic all over the nail just to seal that nail, and then file and polish. All I did really was polish the nails with a clear polish. So I did that and then set these aside to dry, and then they're ready to go. Once your nails are done, cut a piece of cinema in pink, just small enough to cover the cinema base. And what you need to do is position the nails on the cinema, and once you're happy with how the flower looks, just glue these down onto the cinema with using some Yoo-hoo glue. And then once you've done that, when it's dry, apply a liberal amount of glue to the centre of the flower where the nails are, and pour in some of the caviar beads. Press these down and let that dry. It does take a bit of a time to dry, so go off, make yourself a cup of tea, have a slice of cake, and it should be dried by then. Then what I did is I added a second layer of glue and some more caviar beads on top of that. Both times I tipped away any excess caviar beads so they wasn't going everywhere, and you do need really to use two layers of beads just to get some good coverage. Moving on to the crin. Cut your crin into about 30 centimetre sections, remove the string and bind each of the free edge. And then what I tend to do is secure that then with a little bit of glue. So on the end where all the crin is together, and also onto the thread that you've used to bind that. And then bring both ends of the crin together and fold the crin lengthwise to give it a nice folded petal shape. And what you need to do is you need to make 5 in the light and 5 in the fuchsia. Once you've got all your petals together, position these on the base to get the look that you want to achieve. And once you're happy, sew these down. Now I actually threaded these onto a needle and thread, tied it off, laid it above the base, and then what I ended up doing was moving them around ever so slightly just so you get your spacing right. I found when I pinned them down, I couldn't quite fully see what the end result would look like. So doing it that way, you'll be able to see, have you got your spacing right? Does it look good? Is it off center? These are all things that you just want to try and avoid. Then once your petals are sewn into place and all the glue is dry, the nail's dry, everything's dry, using small stitches, sew the nail flower down onto the base, just ensuring it's secure. Now you can't pull too far because you want a nice flat surface where the flower is. You can't really pull it down and give it dimension. It needs to be flat, so you can't pull too far on your thread. But do it enough times, hiding stitches, just to make sure that that is nice and secure and it's not going to fall off. And then finally, glue down some flat back crystals into the centre of the flower to give it a bit of sparkle. Now, you find me a drag queen that says I don't love sparkle, and I'll find you a drag queen that says they're a liar. And then to finish, literally the attaching to the head is via a comb. And I personally think, because this is technically for a drag queen, they need that extra support. So I would have attached just a length of hat elastic, just so then they can tuck that in the wig, ready to go. It's not going to fall off, and the comb will just helps anchor that into the wig.
And this is the final piece. Now, as you can see, it's very glitzy, very glam. It's just something very different. And that's what drag is all about. Drag is being different, not being scared to be different. And I think that this piece actually challenged me. Now, I'm not expecting any of you guys to drop your sewing needles and start taking up fake nails, but it goes to show that you can use completely other different things in your millinery. You don't have to use the traditional materials that we would usually use in millinery. Sometimes it's good to push them boundaries, push them further, and just try something different. It might not work. It might not work. I was a bit worried at first whether or not this piece would come together very well. And once I kept going and I was like, what about this, what about that, what about the other? This is what I came up with. Now, obviously we have styled her on a very big wig. This is actually like 4 wigs together. So there is some things I have learned back from my drag days and from the show. So yeah, this was the first piece made. The next drag queen that we're going to be covering is one of my second favourites. In fact, they're all my favourites, so there is no first, second, third favourite. But another one of my ultimate favourite, an absolute funny queen called Trixie Mattel. So if you're looking forward to that video, make sure you keep your eyes open, because that will be coming in a couple of weeks. Like always, please subscribe to this channel if you already haven't done so, and if you have, thank you very much. Please give it a like and give it a comment. Just tell me how much you loved it, how much you hated it. All comments are welcome. And finally, I feel like I'm telling you to do a lot of things, but if you want to, you can also follow me on all my social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on Twitter, and all the links to everything will be in the description box below, and they will also be at the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon.